actually care about feminism, take a look outside of your bubble, get some damn perspective, and realize that you actually are so much better off than so many women across the world. Does that mean
somebody always has it worse than you? You're always better off than somebody else. If I'm dying right now of cancer and I have 3 days left to live, I have better off than the guy dying of cancer and AIDS who has 1 day left to live, okay? That doesn't mean that I can't be upset about my situation or try to fix my situation. Just bitching about it being worse elsewhere is fucking irrelevant. It's so you don't actually have to address the argument. You can just do this shallow gesture to, well, it's worse over here, herder. For those of you who don't know, Brett Cooper is working with Daily Wire, commonly called the female Ben Shapiro, because she kind of does look like if Ben Shapiro put on a wig and some makeup and maybe took some estrogen or something. Either way, this video is called Male Feminists Confronted by Women. Uh-oh. So let's find out what she's going to say about this. Take it away, Brett.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. I think you guys know by now, if you've watched the show for a while, that I love talking about feminism, specifically about its pitfalls and how it is actually harmful for women and men, in my opinion. And so today we're going to talk about it even more. I'm going to do a reaction.
I wonder why her opinion is that.
To a Jubilee and Middle Ground video, and I'm very excited. Before we get into it, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off the clock episode. Alrighty, so this Middle Ground episode is male feminists and female anti-feminists, which I think is such a good group, and I'm very excited because it's an interesting dynamic when it's men saying, no, you're oppressed, like we want to uplift you, and women saying, no, I actually don't like it. I just think it'll be really, really interesting.
There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think...
So that's always a funny one, too, where they invoke the identity politics right away. You know, it's so funny when the men try to tell the women do you think that like women are just experts on politics now regarding women? Do you do you think all women are just naturally feminists? No, like your identity doesn't dictate your politics. At least I thought you conservatives were against that. They aren't actually. They will use identity politics the minute they can actually get away with it.
Good, that's a good thing. Women should not be positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of emotion.
Oh my God. That's even worse, man. When we have the women, we're just too emotional. No, they always do this every time. Women are too emotional. No, fucking bitch. You are too emotional. You might be a brain dead bimbo Karen who can't manage the presidential requirements, okay? Maybe you are, but you don't speak for all women, lady. You're just one dumb bitch in a sea of very smart bitches. What an idiot.
Oh, it's Amala. Amala's in this. That's great. Amala Ekonomi from PragerU.
Oh my God, another part of the circle jerk. OMG.
Sure.
Women have more privileges today than men.
Absolutely agree. I mean, just the first thing I think of, number one, women control access to sex. That is a huge privilege, like above men. But also with jobs.
Is women controlling sex that huge of a privilege? Doesn't that also carry with it a lot of disadvantages? You know, like, I don't know, rape? I have some say in whomever enters my body. Wow, what a privilege.
With jobs these days, applying for jobs, there are all of these diversity quotas, and that includes gender. Oh, I need a woman in this role. We need to hire a woman. Ooh, if they.
Okay, yeah, the typical, like, because they have some diversity quotas in a couple companies and now women are all over privileged. No, they're not. We've already looked at the studies over and over and over again, which showed that when women have children, they are offered less salary than when men apply for the same job with the same qualifications, and even when the men have children. Single fathers offered more money. Single mothers offered less money. That's a problem. That is a subconscious bias that negatively impacts women and their ability to navigate this world and provide for themselves and their own families.
If all women, men don't get that.
With this new feminist movement that is arising, more of the third, fourth wave, we are finding, I think, that women are placed and pedestalized above men in a lot of ways.
That's good.
I actually kind of agree with that a little bit. There are definitely some elements of like the more left side of things that will sort of put this whole like women can do no wrong type crap up there. So yeah, that can like definitely happen. If I were arguing with that person, I would probably just bite that bullet and try to move on.
Because we've been taught that women are still victims, that we are still oppressed. And so as a result, women are now...
Yeah, I don't think women are still oppressed in this country. I think that if we want to be serious, I mean, women are treated pretty equally by the law, at least. And so I think that that's pretty hard to come to any kind of a conclusion that women are oppressed. Do women still face unique issues on the basis of the fact that they're women? Yeah, absolutely. Men do also. So there is such a thing as like male privilege, and there is such a thing as female privilege in some regard, I'm sure. But when we're talking about the actual hiring practices, women get the short end of the stick.
This protected class. Now, they are not as protected as some of the other intersectional levels of women or, you know, those communities. I think her saying that women are put on a pedestal is a really good way to put it.
And yeah, good point. Wasn't she hired as a woman to be like the woman conservative girl?
It's not that we're naturally dominant over men. No, it's that like we have been pushed up here because, oh no, we need to help women. It's like, really?
Hiring and scholarships.
Wait, what? Some women need help, yeah.
We have been pushed up here because, oh no, we need to help women. It's like, really?
Hiring and scholarships where...
I like how her content's actually super boring as shit, but it's edited really well. I need like a professional editor that can make my content seem like it's fun even when I'm really boring.
And sometimes even regardless of academic standing or achievement are prioritized.
From the time they...
Where? Example, please? Source made it up? Trust me, bro. I saw it in a dream. Where are men more qualified, but women are still given the job over the more qualified man? Please.
They are little. Girls are always like doted on and you're so pretty and cute.
Very coddled.
Yes, I do think that women, you know, that their feminine nature should be nurtured. I think that that should be, you know, supported and celebrated for a lot of women. But I do not agree that women should be coddled. That is something that really peeves me when parents treat their daughters' and sons' intelligence differently. Growing up, I remember watching...
Huh. So do you think then, Brett, if there was a problem with women or with the way that boys and girls are being taught and expected to behave in certain intellectual contexts, if girls, say, are not nearly as encouraged to pursue math or sciences or engineering, whereas boys are, would you say that maybe that's something where women are still struggling or girls are still struggling? For example, why do we have so few women in some of these engineer fields? Even when we know for a fact, at the beginning of STEM, for example, women were massive contributors to that whole industry. And yet now, social expectations have changed, and we see less women participating in that, even though women played a massive role in beginning this whole STEM shit. So the fact that we are seeing this socialization hindering women's decision-making, that is a problem. That's something that's negatively impacting women specifically. So she's able to acknowledge that it's something that bothers her when parents teach their boys and their girls intelligence differently. But yet this happens all the time.
You know, parents of my friends go like, oh, she's just a silly little girl. Oh, it's okay because she's just a girl. Oh, she's just being like, no, it's so stupid. I think.
Yeah, but what about, you know, boys will be boys to excuse like sexual assault? I mean, if you're willing to acknowledge how cringy that is for them to be like, oh, she's just a little girl, give her a pass. What about the whole, oh, boys will be boys? You know, the natural rape urge is just part of puberty, LOL.
I think it sets women up for failure, and it also teaches them that they have this privilege, basically, and that they can walk around and be like, oh, I'm just ditzy, I need to use this. But that, it just pisses me off. And that is one thing that...
Well, you're pretty ditzy, and you piss me off, so yeah, I get it.
I think my mother was so great about, because I have 3 older brothers, and we were not raised differently in that way. Like, she never let any of that slide. If I ever pulled anything that, you know, was in the vein of, oh, I'm just being silly, I know I can excuse this because I'm a girl and I'm so silly. I mean, she immediately caught on to it. Was like, absolutely the frick not.
Now, women...
Wow, your mom was a baller. She actually said frick? Woo!
Don't have to like work to get a guy. They're just hot. And then guys come to them and spend their resources on them.
Again, that is the controlling access to sex. People usually think that men are the ones sexually dominating women, but if you think about it, a man really wants to get out there, wants to be sowing the seeds, but it's the women who get to decide whether that actually happens. In normal society, women do control it.
I appreciated the distinction.
Yeah, but I like what the chatter said earlier. Is it really a privilege that women get to say, no, you cannot enter my body? I don't think it's a privilege for women to be like, yeah, I control whether or not somebody is going to be inside of me or not.
Of more versus different privileges. You can't just use a broad brush. And that's where we start to get into the idea of like intersectionality.
He also knows that I am an ape and I should go F myself.
Already.
Instantly, she just like starts freaking the F out because she cannot possibly handle hearing a word. See, intersectionality, that's a buzzword for these people. That's why she's like breaking down right now and couldn't even finish the sentence.
Already. What are we? I'm 2 minutes into this and you're already preaching to me about intersectional. Okay, that's where we get into the situation where feminism means everything and literally nothing at all. Because when you add intersectionality into the mix, you can basically say that feminism is all things. And then if you try to get a definition out of them, they don't have one. It's like this just muddles the conversation.
It was a trans woman.
So, translation, Brett Cooper here is way too fucking stupid to understand what intersectionality means. So therefore, to her, intersectionality means nothing. So when you say intersectionality, her brain shuts down and she starts farting uncontrollably. Translation complete. What a stupid person. Intersectionality does not mean everything and nothing. Intersectionality is simply acknowledging the way that certain marginalizations can intersect to cause issues. So for example, maybe you're a woman, so you face a degree of disadvantage when applying for a job because of subconscious bias. Okay, fine. But maybe you're a black woman. Well, now you have a disadvantage when it comes to getting a job because you're a woman, and black people sometimes have a more difficult time getting hired, especially if they say have a black sounding name. So there is two different marginalizations intersecting, and that's what that conversation is about. It's talking about how these different components can intersect and cause certain outcomes. It's really not that difficult. But apparently for her, it means nothing and everything. No, it just means that if you have women who are disadvantaged, you want to look at other certain qualities that might also disadvantage them and how those intersect to cause certain outcomes. That's it.
If it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was
But
a woman
I don't
who
think we're
was...
including trans women into...
And I think we...
Liberal words. Man, you know what would really seal this right now? Can we get like a Trigglypuff clip? Man, whew, I would be knee slapping at that point.
Definitely should.
I don't think we should.
I say that, yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society because I could get a woman pregnant and I could just run away.
They could get you
Well, they
for
can
child
get you for
support.
child support, which they
But
do.
are you saying she can't run away?
Go to jail.
Are you saying you
They
can't,
could
she
take
can't
your
run
money.
away?
Yeah, but the law is there to prevent your ability to just dip. Otherwise, you would have that ability. The law is literally there as a preventative measure.
And I think that that is an important point. Like Amla was saying, that there are different ways that men and women are privileged, but that also goes back to being able to acknowledge that men and women are very, very different. Men and women bring very different things to the table. Men and women have very different strengths and weaknesses. And that is why we work well together. That is why it is harmony. That's why there is balance. That is why traditional marriage makes sense, a mother and a father. So he's acknowledging
I like that. That's why it just makes sense. How come traditional relationships don't actually last as long then? Oof.
something that is a biological, like evolutionary truth. And then we get into the social intersectionality, you know, how society basically artificially creates privileges. That's a totally different conversation. But I do think it is important to acknowledge on a foundational level that there are different ways that we are privileged, but still.
If I was a mom, this would be kind of shocking.
I disagree with the first part, but that part is an important point. But Amala already made it.
If a woman was pregnant, she wouldn't be able to get an abortion in most
In some
parts
states,
of the country.
yes. In some states,
That's
now.
That's a major disadvantage.
Oh, major disadvantage. You can't kill your child. Oh, sucks.
I hate that she just doesn't add anything new to the conversation. It's so generic and like, you know exactly what she's going to say. Everything is, oh, abortion equals murder. Haha, murder. Like nothing she says is nuanced or interesting or insightful. It's just regurgitating the most shallow, brain dead conservative talking points.
That the beginning of feminism was going in the right
Humanizing
direction.
women,
It
right?
was humanizing women.
Which is very, very true. Up until a couple of years ago, I would 100% say that I am a feminist because I believed in first and second wave feminism, because I want to be able to be educated. I want to be able to have a job. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to, you know, make my voice heard. I love the fact that I can provide for myself. That's a really, really important thing. I love that I am, you know, seen as equal and apparently these days higher than men. But then we get into, you know, second, third, and fourth wave
Don't worry, Brett. I don't see you as higher than men. In fact, I see you lower than most of humanity.
feminism, and it does not mean what the original feminists intended it to be. And you look back at where it started, they're completely in opposite directions if you think about it. Like they are totally antithetical.
It was
I feel like I just got like brain blasted with this knowledge. Holy shit, Jimmy Neutron, thank you.
and go get a job so that I can drive a car. If you want to talk about feminism, go protect the women who get beat up for driving a car.
And that's one thing that pisses me off about.
Oh my God, this is such a stupid argument. So when they do this, by the way, all they're doing is saying, cause it's worse somewhere else, that means it's not a big deal here. This could be done with any problem, any issue, anytime, literally anywhere in the entire fucking world, okay? If I say, hey, my kids are really hungry right now, they haven't eaten in 3 days, okay? It's my big mission to get food for my kids because they're really hungry, okay? And then someone pipes up, well, did you know there's starving kids in Africa who have not eaten for 8 days? So maybe you should be worrying about them getting their food. It's like, hold on. I get it. I get that it's worse elsewhere, but that doesn't mean it's not bad here for me too. You can't just pivot and be like, well, it's bad. It's badder over here, herder, and then just expect to move on with your life. It's not that simple.
American, I feel like I've said it, and that's one thing that pisses me off a lot when I do these reactions, but there are a lot of things that peeve me with these people's arguments. American feminists, or maybe even I should broaden that and say feminists in the West, they walk around claiming that they're so oppressed. They have all this intersectional oppression. Please think outside of your world for a hot second and look at women around the world who are, like this young woman said, beat up for driving a car, married off when they are 14 years old, who actually have no autonomy whatsoever.
It's funny how the place that you're talking about where women have no autonomy is actually where there are these same conservative values that you subscribe to, just being brought to a more extreme level.
Actually care about feminism, take a look outside of your bubble, get some damn perspective, and realize that you actually are so much better off than so many women across the world. Does that mean
somebody always has it worse than you? You're always better off than somebody else. If I'm dying right now of cancer and I have 3 days left to live, I have better off than the guy dying of cancer and AIDS who has 1 day left to live, okay? That doesn't mean that I can't be upset about my situation or try to fix my situation. Just bitching about it being worse elsewhere is fucking irrelevant. It's so you don't actually have to address the argument. You can just do this shallow gesture to, well, it's worse over here, herder.
Mean that your problems in your personal life are not valid. It does not mean that people in the Western world do not struggle, because
so she's acknowledging that this doesn't discredit anything. So, okay.
We have our own problems. You should have some gratitude for the rights that this country, that the Western world has afforded you, because so many women are
having some of that gratitude is shown by further pushing for what this country claims to stand for. We have gratitude that we live in a country that values autonomy. So if we want to make sure that women aren't getting shafted when applying for a job because of subconscious bias, then we should be working towards that. By trying to further the rights of women, then you are in a way showing your gratitude for the rights you have thus far, because you have been afforded the right to continue advocating for your rights.
Western world has afforded you, because so many women are still fighting for that. I'm sorry if you're not getting my sympathy, but I truly do not care, because you are not oppressed. On paper, you are not.
Men are falling.
I don't think I can do any more of this video. Whew, this is rough. Very, very, very rough video. Brett Cooper, more like Brett Pooper. Got him.